Chapter 69, The Secret Method of Race, Cousin, Save Me. In the first 2 rounds of trials, they had accumulated a lot of dissatisfaction, and they took advantage of this moment to vent it out. Looking at China being so good for them, it was simply worse than killing them. The United States has held a press conference. This time the monster has mastered 2 terrifying abilities. Can China eliminate it so quickly? As long as the brain is slightly normal, it will not matter. I will believe this announcement from China. It may be that there is panic in China, so the official issued this self-deceptive announcement. Don't be fooled. Huaxia people, that's hypocrisy. Always, under the vilifying propaganda of the United States and Sakura countries do not have much favorable impression of China. Plus, in the first 2 rounds of trials, China eliminated monsters in its territory, but chose to close the country. All foreigners are prohibited from entering. People in all countries are resentful and dissatisfied with China, for a while. International public opinion is fierce and there is a lot of abuse. Everyone is questioning the authenticity of this announcement. The United States Department of Defense, what? China said they cleared out the monsters that came this round? Jobs listened to the report from his subordinates and showed an expression of disbelief. 24 hours, clear the monsters in the territory. This thing, can it really be done? According to the information sent back by the FBI, this matter is true. China is suspected of using the Book of Life and Death weapon that was used in the first round. The secretary nodded solemnly and affirmed, hiss. Jobs gasped, incredibly horrified. Book of Life and Death, it's Book of Life and Death. Again, what exactly is this Book of Life and Death? The FBI has done its best to investigate, but China protects the secret very strictly. We have not been able to obtain any specific information about the Book of Life and Death so far. The secretary sighed. Quite helpless. Actually, after the first 2 rounds of trials, many countries are exploring the 2 mysterious weapons, the Book of Life and Death, and the Demon Mirror, but nothing was found. China attaches more importance to these 2 weapons of national subjugation than they imagined. It is estimated that the number of people who know this core technology is no more than 2 hands, that's it. Jobs sighed and shook his head. Since we can't steal this technology, we can only continue to work on the Chosen One project. Today, the Research Institute's Chosen One project has reached version 4.0. After several iterations, the mortality rate in the Chosen One's awakening experiment has been reduced to 60%. Under the Ministry of Defense, the number of Chosen Ones has reached more than 300. The strongest among them, it has broken through to the 2nd-level peak. It's not enough. Jobs looked solemn and murmured to himself, with the Gu Raising project, speed up the process and breed 3rd-level 002 imitators as soon as possible. The United States needs a lot of them. The 3rd-level Chosen One. According to Yan Zhenyue's confession, the monsters in this round have 2 racial talents, and their combat power is amazing. They must improve the strength of the Chosen One as soon as possible to compete with the monsters. If the strength of the Chosen One can be raised to the 4th level, even to the 5th level, maybe one person can conquer a country. America, secret prison. In an all-metal cell. A curvy, graceful and exquisite body of a young woman is tightly bound by super alloy shackles. This time, she was closing her eyes tightly. The aura on his body is quietly surging, as if he is running some kind of racial secret. Although this secret room is isolated from all signals, but her racial secret method, it can ignore the shield and communicate remotely across tens of thousands of kilometers of space. It's just, doing this will consume a lot of energy. Unable to communicate for a long time, otherwise, she would not have used technologically advanced group chats to communicate with other members of her race. Why doesn't my cousin respond to me? She slowly opened her eyes and murmured in disappointment. Since being captured by the Chosen One in the United States, she has secretly tried dozens of times to seek rescue from her cousin, but there has been no response. Zhenyue, is that you? Suddenly, a voice came from somewhere. Echoed in her mind. Yan Zhenyue looked delighted. With mist surging in her eyes, excited, he quickly used the racial secret method and responded, "It's me, cousin, great, I finally contacted you." A moment later, the voice came next, seemingly even more excited than her. "Great, hurry up, cousin, save me." When Zhenyue heard this, she couldn't help but be stunned. The smile on his face froze instantly. "Why, my cousin stole all her lines. I made a mistake and was caught by Huaxia. They locked me in a small dark room. I don't know where it is." In my mind, that the voice explained in a hurry, "Cousin, where are you now? Come and save me quickly. Let's join hands to destroy China. I want to make this civilization extinct." The second half of the sentence, the other party was almost gnashing his teeth and filled with hatred. However, Yan Jingyue swallowed and was stunned. It's only been one day, his cousin had only been here for a day and he was caught. Now, who will save her? Cousin? Cousin? You are talking, in mind, the voice sounded again, somewhat urgently. Cousin, you may not believe it, but I have already fled abroad. Yan Jinyue came back to her senses and sighed deeply. Then I was captured by the Chosen One of the United States. Lived and was imprisoned in a secret prison. The other party, China Monster Research Institute, secret room. A young man with disheveled hair stopped the racial secret method and looked at the ceiling in despair. An expression of despair. At this moment, his body was full of bloody bullet holes and shelling wounds. 18 super alloy chains bound him tightly. Click, the super metal door of the room was pushed open, and Yang Yimo walked in from the outside. Looked at it carefully. He nodded and said, the vitality of the demon clan is tenacity. Such a serious injury has actually recovered to the fullest. Don't be pretentious here. If you want to kill or behead, it's up to you. The young man raised his head and sneered. You're quite brave. Yang Yimo dragged his chin and said, I need you to answer a few questions. After you answer them, just let me go? The young man's eyes lit up and he interrupted Yang Mo's words. Do you think it's possible? The corner of Yang Mo's mouth twitched a few times. This monster clan is really wishful thinking, the killing that killed hundreds of people. I still want to get out alive. I'm sorry, I don't know anything. The young man was not to be outdone and refused to answer any questions. It doesn't matter, you will cooperate honestly. Yang Yimo smiled slightly, but in the eyes of the young man, the smile was a bit creepy. Chapter 70. Among the lights in every house, there is always one left for you. It didn't take long. A few middle-aged men wearing white coats walked in. Dean, are you looking for us? This monster will be left to you to study. Be sure to save one life. Yang Mo pointed at the young man and warned him at the same time. A few people heard this. My eyes brightened instantly, staring at the young man with excitement. That expression, it was like a hungry wolf saw a peerless beauty. The young man couldn't help but shiver, and suddenly had a bad feeling. Next, he was taken out of the secret room and dragged into the laboratory. Yanjing. An ordinary community. Late night, after get off work, Zhao Ziyan opened the door and quietly put on her slippers. Come back? A voice came from the living room. Dad, didn't I tell you to go to bed early? You always wait for me so late. Zhao Ziyan stuck out her tongue and pretended to complain. I'm worried that you won't be able to sleep. The dishes are heating up in the kitchen. Your favorite is the pork knuckle. I'll go to bed first. The father on the sofa yawned and seemed to be very sleepy. A few words were explained. He went straight back to the bedroom. Zhao Ziyan looked at the kitchen, feeling warm in her heart. Despite the critical times, the trials of civilization are like a hanging sword threatening China's security, but thousands of lights, there is always one left for her. Perhaps this is the original intention of many people joining the Monster Research Institute, just to guard that light. Every light, both represent an ordinary and ordinary family, revealing the warmth of the world. Go to bed early. My mother's voice came from the bedroom again. Zhao Ziyan responded. Go into the kitchen, have a simple midnight snack. Then he finished washing and walked into the study. I opened a thick diary and wrote down today's experience. August 7th. In the third round of the civilization trial, the monster has just arrived. Countries around the world are preparing for war urgently, and the people are restless. The dean used his highest authority to activate the Book of Life and Death, which is the weapon of the country. It took 14 hours to fully revive the Book of Life and Death and kill all the monsters in the territory. As the United States said, the monsters that came this time were the Zhu Jian clan recorded in the Book of Mountains and Seas. However, there was a pigeon in Jiling that was not wiped out from the Book of Life and Death, and the local military and police quickly dispatched to kill it. Captain Zhang led the demon hunting team and also rushed to Jiling. Before leaving, the dean mobilized a batch of military noise-canceling frequency conversion headphones from the Scientific Research Department to equip all pursuers. The dean explained that the Zhujiang clan is good at the secret art of sound waves. The principle is to enhance the frequency and amplitude of sound, and use ultra-high decibels and same frequency shattering to kill. The noise-canceling frequency conversion headphones were originally developed for the ultrasonic weapons of other countries. They happen to disrupt the sound waves, destroy their frequency and amplitude, and have a restraining effect on the secret techniques of the Zhu Jian clan. The Dean knows so much, I have some doubts about whether the Dean is a reborn person. In the end, under the encirclement and suppression by the military and the demon hunting team, the beast was captured and brought to justice, and was imprisoned in a secret room rebuilt by the Dean. This room is made of microparticle alloy, which can isolate all sound waves. This is the end of the third round of trials. Good night, China. Zhao Ziyan put down her pen and stretched. Write a diary. This is a habit she has developed since she was in elementary school. Of course, she doesn't write every day. There is nothing worth recording, so she usually just brushes it off. The third round of trials was passed in one day. Holding the diary, Zhao Ziyan pursed her lips, feeling a little excited. Even if the night is dark, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and she was still not sleepy at all. A horrible monster crisis in 24 hours, it was completely wiped out by China. So much so that people all over the world feel that China is bragging about fraud. This, Huaxia did not explain, and did not bother to explain. And all this all stems from the great plan put forward by Dean Yang, science fiction heavenly. Plan, think of this, she couldn't help but pick up the diary and read forward. On May 31st, the sky was blocked by gray fog, and a mysterious voice appeared, announcing the start of the civilization trial. On June 1st, after a meeting in China, the cabinet planned to establish a monster research institute, but unexpectedly promoted a young researcher to be the dean. I was transferred from the Ministry of Science and Technology to serve as the assistant to the dean. On June 2nd, the dean started the monster anatomy experiment. On June 3rd, the dean seemed to have no family. He stayed in the institute every day, mingled with the researchers in the laboratory, and taught them to overcome their fear of dissecting monsters. On June 7th, the results of the anatomy experiment were obtained. On June 8th, as the monster crisis intensified and the global death toll continued to rise, the dean asked me to be the anchor and develop a promotional video to popularize the monster code. On June 15th, the dean formulated the plan for the Book of Life and Death. I think he is too whimsical. On June 21st, the whole country made concessions, the whole people cooperated, and everyone was united. For the first time, I felt what the power of the people is. On June 22nd, China will not perish. On June 23rd, China will not perish. On June 26th, the second level 001 undead gathered in Liangcheng and occupied a city. In order to obtain supplies, the military and the demon hunting team responded immediately, abandoning super conventional weapons of destruction, and fought to the death with them to defend Liang. The city has 800,000 people. On June 29th, the dragon's roar echoed across the land of China, and the Life and Death Book project led by the dean was successful. On June 30th, the first round of trials was settled. Our country received an SSS level evaluation, and the physical fitness of the entire population increased by 100%. My skin feels much younger, and the gray hair on my parents' heads has disappeared. July 2nd, these days are a gap period, it is rare to have any free time. On July 4th, at the press conference, Dean Yang said that the Classic of Mountains and Seas is a guidance manual for the trials of civilization left by our ancient ancestors. July 8th. On August 5th, Dean Yang suddenly fainted and fell into a coma while analyzing the stone tablet. The whole hospital went crazy with panic. Nothing can happen. On August 6th, the dean woke up and wrote down the controllable nuclear fusion technology in handwriting. Well, it was outrageous. Turn over and over, sleep came over me as Zhao Ziyan lay on the desk and accidentally fell asleep. The next day, Monster Research Institute. Dean, the monster said that he is willing to confess, and you can ask him anything. A researcher in a white coat came to Yang Mo, still a little reluctant to leave. After you finish interrogating, can we do it again? Study him? After all of this is the only living beast in China, rare things are more valuable. Everyone in their laboratory treated this monster like a treasure, afraid that he would die suddenly. I took more than 10 bottles of adrenaline. Yang Mo, the corners of his mouth twitched a few times. Obviously, the laboratory's methods were more effective than he imagined. Only one night, this monster can't stand it anymore. Chapter 71. The crystal mutates and the seeds sprout. Later did he put down what he was doing and headed straight for the specially built prison cell. The young man has been transported back here. 18 alloy chains tied him so that he could not move. After meeting Yang Mo, emotional, struggling hard. 18 alloy chains were shaken and made the sound of gold and stone. I said, as long as you don't use me for experiments, you can do anything you want me to do. There was still a hint of fear on his face that had not dissipated. Just one night, I don't know what happened to him. The previous unruliness has long gone. It's so cute that it's ridiculous. First question, why can you block the erasure of the Book of Life and Death? Yang Mo stared at him coldly and asked, this is what puzzles him the most. It stands to reason. Book of Life and Death acts on the monster's brainwaves, and can issue instructions to destroy the brainwaves, causing it to be brain dead out of thin air. This method is mysterious and unpredictable. All the animals that came in the third round died, but the young man survived. I have the amulet. The story is repeated. The young man's face was uncertain, but he still replied honestly, this was given to me by the elders of the clan before the advent. It can prevent a life and death crisis. Amulet? Can you make it? Yang Mo's eyes lit up and he suddenly asked, if we had this technology, when Chinese soldiers deal with monsters, their casualty rate will be greatly reduced. No, the young man shook his head and replied truthfully, only when you have reached the demon general realm can you create an amulet, and now I haven't even reached the demon soldier realm. Hearing this, Yang Mo couldn't help but show disappointment. In the past life, Huaxia has captured many monsters from the Demon Clan and learned about the Demon Clan's cultivation system through interrogation. The realm of demon soldiers, the realm of demon generals, the realm of demon commanders, the realm of demon lords, the realm of demon kings, the realm of demon emperors, the realm of demon emperors, and the realm of demon fairy. Based on these realms, the realm divisions such as first level, second level, third level, and fourth level were formulated. Young people's current state is the first level, the second level is the demon soldier realm, the third level is the realm of demon general, the ninth level is the demon fairyland. The further you go, the wider the gap between each realm becomes, like a chasm. Second question, how did you, the Jian clan, come to Earth? Yang Mo pondered for a moment, then asked. This, I can't say. The young man suddenly showed a look of horror and shook his head violently. As if once spoken and next second. A great terror will occur. Is it related to the civilization trial? Yang Mo frowned and already had the answer in his heart. The young man was stunned, looking at Yang Mo in surprise. He closed his mouth tightly, not daring to say a word. It is indeed a test of civilization. Yang Mo's heart sank. Previous lives, all countries have captured many monsters, interrogated them, and obtained a lot of information. It is also from this information Huaxia noticed that the secret of the monsters race coincided with the Book of Mountains and Seas. Final, discovered that the Classic of Mountains and Seas is actually an instruction manual left by our ancestors. It's just, there is an invisible rule somewhere, bound all monsters, they cannot disclose any information about the trials of civilization through any method or behavior, otherwise, the whole body will be destroyed and turned into ashes in an instant. Is there a group of people organizing behind the civilization trial? Yang Mo took a deep breath and asked tentatively. At the same time, observed the young man's expression carefully. I saw the young man's mouth tightly closed, his face full of fear, veins popping out on his forehead, looking at him pleadingly. He seems to be begging him not to ask anymore. Yang Mo ignored it. Strike while the iron is hot. Take a step forward and grab the young man's arms. He then asked, what is the relationship between you monsters and the people behind the civilization trial? The young man roared in pain, and his mental pressure suffered a huge impact. Next, his eyes became crazy. He actually controlled his body on the spot and shattered his heart. A mouthful of blood spurted out. Quick! Send it to the laboratory. Yang Mo's expression changed slightly, and he shouted quickly, try all means to save him, don't let him die. Soon Zhang Yangguang rushed in with people and quickly brought the young man back to the laboratory, Dean's office. After the interrogation was interrupted, Yang Mo returned here, took out a pen and paper and started writing, deducing the information obtained from the youth. On paper written with keywords such as Monster Clan, Zhujian Clan, organization behind the civilization trial, but the information is too limited. Yang Mo rubbed his forehead, feeling helpless. The methods of the civilization trial were more terrifying than he imagined. They seem to be able to use invisible rules to control all the monsters that come, prohibiting them from revealing any information. He can only make insinuations. The information available is extremely limited. Dean, there is new progress in the training warehouse. At this moment, Zhao Ziyan hurried in. Did the crystal react? Yang Mo stood up suddenly, looking quite surprised. That crystal. I don't know what to say. Zhao Ziyan nodded, but her expression was a little strange. You should go and see it yourself. Yang Mo slightly stunned, but the movement of his feet did not stop, and he went straight to the training warehouse. A few minutes later, arriving at the cultivation chamber of the 12-sided crystal. At this time, researchers from more than a dozen culture chambers are gathered together. Observing the chamber through the glass, I saw there were fine cracks on the surface of the 12-sided crystal. There is a jasper-colored germ. It is desperately emerging from the debris, trying to get rid of the shackles of the 12-sided crystal. This scene, is very much like the scene before the legendary seeds sprout and break out of the ground. Dean, your guess is correct, the 12-sided crystal is really a seed. We fed the corpses of 476 monsters, and they actually sprouted. This is definitely the largest research discovery in the history of monster research so far. Several researchers, the people surrounding Yang Mo, were extremely excited. They studied it for more than a month. Finally, breakthrough progress has been made on the 12-sided crystal. Immortal tree seeds. Yang Mo stared at the changes in the seeds and was equally surprised. Mutation of crystals. It was also confirmed from the side that his guess was correct. The classic of mountains and seas, the Queen Mother of the West used the seeds of the immortal tree to cultivate many miraculous plants such as flat peaches, fire dates, and cross pears. If he can imitate the Queen Mother of the West, copy this process. Cultivation of these magical plants will greatly improve China's strength. Continue to feed it and strive to make it bloom and bear fruit as soon as possible. Yang Mo took a deep breath and warned the researchers in the training warehouse. But, a researcher sighed with a grimace, we are running out of monster corpses in the hospital, only 50 are left. Br this crystal, the appetite is very big, the corpses of at least dozens of monsters are devoured every day, plus, the domestic monsters are cleared very quickly, and the 001 undead that can be infected and transformed have long since disappeared. On monster corpses, China is really very scarce. The current inventory in the yard, they were all the corpses of the cattle clan that had just been killed, and there was only enough seed to feed for the next day. Chapter 72, China has developed an invincible potential. I will solve the problem of the monster corpse. Yang Mo thought for a while and said in deep thought, at the same time. As the third round of trials proceeds, the global situation is changing rapidly. In the sky at the majestic, cold and solemn voice sounded one after another. Trial notice, the Maurya kingdom, the regime has been overthrown and has been destroyed. Trial notice, the regime of the Irkuncho Emirate has been overthrown and has been destroyed. Trial notice, the Korea Free Federation, the regime has been overthrown and has been destroyed. Trial notice, the Kingdom of Madanyo has been overthrown and has been destroyed. Trial notice, the regime of the Rio de Janeiro Jamahiriya has been overthrown and has been destroyed. Every 2 hours, you can hear a trial announcement announcing that a small country on the earth has been destroyed via satellite imagery. The surviving people from various countries finally saw the monsters coming in the third round. Figures with human faces and leopard bodies and ox ears and eyes, these small countries, they were all countries that were declared ineligible to receive rewards when the second round of trials was settled. With the strength of their army, they could only barely compete with the 001 undead, plus, the imitator 002 got into the top management and took control of the political power, causing the situation to take a turn for the worse. They were struggling to support themselves and suddenly encountered the third round of trials, the arrival of Zhu Jian. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. The situation took a turn for the worse. Small countries perished one after another. The monsters of the three races no longer hid their disguises and simply revealed their bodies, killing the remaining people wantonly. Goat-headed and human-faced. Chu Ru has a white head and 3 legs. The beasts with human faces and leopard bodies, wherever they passed, wailing was everywhere. Just like purgatory on earth, the dead and wounded, countless. Tubing, the world's largest video platform, the tragic situation of the small country was uploaded here. People of all countries. He became more and more frightened and worried. The speed of destruction is too fast. The third round of trials has only been carried out on the second day, and 9 small countries have been destroyed today? The United States is indeed right. The monster in the third round is Zhu Jian, with a human face and a leopard body, and 1 bull's ear. This video is so terrifying, a whole battalion of soldiers was killed by the monster's roar. Zhu Jian's strength is so abnormal, he can lift an off-road vehicle with 1 hand? Watch these videos. People from all over the world are aware of the terror of the beasts. No wonder so many small countries will be destroyed after their arrival. The fighting power of Zhu Jian, definitely the strongest among the three races. Not only does it hold great power, also has weird and unpredictable sonic attacks. The only good thing is, in their country, all the cattle are timid, and there has been no news for the time being, but everyone knows it. This is not a good thing. The reason why Zhu Qian did not stand up openly is that he is most likely brewing a big wave growing in secret, then amazing everyone. America, Department of Defense. The dramatic changes in the global situation have also alarmed here. Jobs frowned, worried. These 2 days, there have been thousands more homicides and disappearances in the United States than in the past. Obviously, this is because Zhu Jian is afraid of the strength of big countries like them, so he commits crimes in secret. Crazy development. Want to quickly climb to the second level: guard personnel, military personnel, and the chosen ones from various states have encountered animals hunting and killing ordinary people many times while performing their tasks, but Zhu Chen did not fight with them at all once there is any trouble. He immediately ran away without giving him a chance. So much so far, their country, the United States, has not captured even a single animal. Dean, China's Monster Research Institute has published a report. Suddenly, the secretary found him in a hurry. What report? Jobs was stunned for a moment and asked subconsciously. Research and analysis report on Zhu Jian. Really? Jobs' expression lit up and he quickly took the research report printed from his secretary's hand. Flipped through quickly. I in the report. China's Monster Research Institute named the monsters that came in the third round. The Zhu Jian clan, number 003 loudspeaker. IT has two major talents: great power and great sound. The strength of an ordinary first level 003 loudspeaker can reach 10 tons. The sound emitted can reach 180 decibels, and the sound wave frequency far exceeds 8,000 Hz. The human being's tolerance range for sound is usually below 90 decibels. Once it exceeds 90 decibels, the hearing nerve will be slightly damaged, causing tinnitus, deafness, and other phenomena. If it exceeds 120 decibels, headache, trembling of the 5 internal organs, and other organ injuries will occur. If it reaches 175 decibels, it will cause human death on the spot. Hiss. Seeing this, Jobs took a breath of air. Huaxia's research is too detailed. Looks like it. They must have captured live bullocks. Later, he continued to flip through the report and saw the second half. It turned out to be about how to restrain the 003 louder and how to capture it. China, Jobs swallowed. His expression suddenly became extremely complicated. As a competitor, he has always regarded China as his biggest imaginary enemy, but this time, the other party actually shared the method of restraining and capturing monsters for free. Replace them with the United States. Maybe I will also share this research report, but I will definitely talk about some exchange of interests. China, are you really not worried about being overtaken by the United States? China is too arrogant. The secretary on the side sneered, his face full of dissatisfaction. No, but Jobs shook his head and sighed. This is not arrogance. China has developed an invincible potential. From here in a research report. China's unparalleled sense of self-confidence rushed towards us. Past the first 2 rounds of trials, Huaxia has received perfect evaluations one after another, which has caused Huaxia's morale to continue to rise. It is different from other countries. Huaxia has this sense of belief everywhere, from top to bottom, from inside to outside. The 1.4 billion people firmly believe that the civilization trial will only become a stepping stone for them and will never destroy China. An invincible aura has been developed, maybe from the moment the civilization trial begins. China's opponents are no longer them, but the many races from the trials of civilization. That's why China will selflessly contribute this research report. The United States, it seems that they are no longer qualified to be China's opponent. No, there is still a chance. Jobs gritted his teeth, his face full of unwillingness, and he looked a little crazy. As long as the Gu-raising plan is successful, we will cultivate a large number of third-level chosen ones, equivalent to existences in the demon general realm. It is not impossible to catch up with China. The third round of trials only lasted until the second day. Everything. It's too early to tell. It's especially clear who is the dark horse. At the same time, other countries have also noticed the research report published by China.